everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel, Tara Talks Books, where we talk everything bookish. So today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up. I did end up getting to a total of 6 books. I read 4 audiobooks, 1 physical and 1 digital. All 6 of the books I read were romances. I did read 5 historical romances and 1 contemporary romance. The first book I read is The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. This is a historical romance that I read via audiobook. I did end up giving this one a 3-star. This is the first book in the Bridgerton series. It follows Daphne, the eldest daughter in the family. She has been out for a few seasons, and due to her brothers, is only recognized as a friend to any eligible young men in London. So in comes Simon. He's back from abroad, and he's the Duke of Hastings, and he wants nothing to do with society or like the marriage mart or anything like that. He does end up having like a chance encounter with Daphne, and they end up devising a plan for both of them to fake a courtship to kind of help each other out. This one was just okay for me. I didn't feel like much was happening in this book. I did like that it introduced us to the Bridgerton family. So in this book, if you've read it or you've seen the show, you know that there's a scene in it that can be very polarizing. I felt that although I can see Daphne's frustration with Simon, especially since his reasoning was only hurting him and like his future and not the person who he made that vow or promise to, I did not like Daphne's response to Simon's actions. I didn't feel like it was okay, and it definitely could have been handled differently. So I couldn't give this book higher than a 3-star. I'm glad that I read it because I know it's the start of the Bridgerton series, and I feel like I've heard it does get better as the series goes along. I have read books up to book 3 and have enjoyed those much more, so hopefully that trajectory will keep going. The next book I read is Nobody's Duke by Scarlett Scott. This is another historical romance, and I did read this one digitally. I did end up giving this one a 4-star. So this follows Ara, and she's the Duchess of Burleigh. Her husband is killed in a political assassination, and the crown assigns her a bodyguard. It turns out he is someone she knows, which is Clayton Ludlow, and he is the bastard son of a duke and the first man she ever loved. So I do love that. Both Ara and Clay are not happy with this situation because they both fell in love years earlier and they each think the other left, but it actually was a third party keeping them apart. And so the story goes from there. I did enjoy this second chance romance, and you could tell the tension and hurt that Ara and Clay both went through and how they were fighting like their love for each other when he was her bodyguard, or when he was acting as her bodyguard. I also enjoyed like seeing glimpses into when like they first met and fell in love. I did want them to be like more open and truthful with each other sooner. I felt that their anger for each other's like past choices overshadowed the love like reblossoming or reblooming. And if they would have just communicated a bit sooner, I think this would have been a 5-star for me. But definitely a good one. Definitely one to check out. I will read more from Scarlett Scott. Definitely I enjoy her books. The next book I read is While the Duke Was Sleeping by Sophie Jordan. This is a historical romance that I read via audiobook. I did end up giving this one a 4-star. So this very closely follows the movie While You Were Sleeping. This follows Poppy Fairchurch, and she's a shop girl that dreams about the Duke of Autenbury. She ends up saving him from an oncoming carriage by pulling him to safety, but he ends up falling into a coma, and she is mistaken for his fiance. But Struan Mackenzie, the Duke's half-brother, isn't fooled. So Poppy isn't sure what she wants, the fantasy of the Duke or his handsome stepbrother, and it goes from there. I enjoyed this fun reimagining of the movie. I enjoyed that Poppy was such a sweet, fun character, and Struan was very broody. He definitely has a tragic backstory. This was just a fun read, and I really like the play on the movie. This is definitely Grumpy Sunshine. Definitely a cute one to check out, especially if you enjoyed While You Were Sleeping. The next book I read is An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This again is a historical romance, and I did read it physically. I did end up giving this one a 5-star. So this is a Cinderella telling and the third book in the Bridgerton series. This follows Sophie. She's the daughter of an earl, but she's forced to be a servant by her stepmother. Sophie sneaks away to a masquerade ball where she meets Benedict. They enjoy one lovely night together, dancing and talking, but Sophie must go. Benedict tries to look for Sophie, but never seems to be able to. He stumbles upon Sophie, a housemaid, and rescues her and begins to fall for her, not realizing that they are one and the same. I really felt for Sophie in this book. She really did have to endure a lot, but she definitely would put Benedict in his place if needed. I love that. Benedict is such a romantic in this book. I really enjoyed how Sophie saw to the heart of Benedict, even at times when his family did not. I also liked how Sophie got to know the Bridgerton sisters and Violet. She always just knows her children's heart, and I love that. This was such a good one, and I loved the whole Cinderella aspect to it. It had so much depth and angst, but it was also just a fun read. The next book I read was The Highwayman by Kerrigan Byrne. This again is a historical romance. I did read this one via audiobook, and I did give it a 5-star as well. So this follows Dorian Blackwell, and he's a ruthless villain. He is wealthy and will stop at nothing to get vengeance to those who wronged him. He gets what he wants, and currently that's Farrah Lee Mackenzie, and she is a widow working at like the police station, and he sees her and he's like, that is what I'm looking for. Farrah is strong but possesses like a powerful secret that threatens her life. So Dorian comes up with like a proposition, and the only way to keep Farrah safe is to marry Dorian in exchange for her protection. So he knows her secret and he will protect her from the people trying to kill her, and then he'll use that secret to exact revenge or bring down his enemies. But Farrah has some terms of her own, and the story ensues from there. This is such an emotional read because both Dorian and Farrah have been through so much in their lives. They are absolute soulmates. This book has so much angst. So if you enjoy that, definitely check it out. It is on the darker side of historical romance. So also know that going in, it is, some of the tropes are captor-captive, soulmates, scarred or damaged hero. This one is definitely a lovely read, but definitely can be emotional and angsty and definitely dark at times. But definitely check it out if that interests you. And the last book I ended up getting to in May is The Inn on Sweetbriar Lane by Jeannie Chen. This is a contemporary romance. I did actually read this one via audiobook, and I ended up giving this one a 4-star. This was part of my 24 books in 2024, so I pulled it out of my jar and I read it. So this follows June, who always seems to have everything under control, but recently things have like become overwhelming or, have piled up. And her mom has medical bills that have, stacked up. So their family owned and operated inn needs guests. However, her handsome new next door neighbor is driving all her business away. Clay is a former soldier that just moved to Blue Cedar Falls to carry out his best friend's dream of opening a bar in his hometown. However, it's more difficult than he realized to get this small town on board with his bar, and he ends up asking June for help, and of course, love ensues from there. This is a cute small town romance with like tropes of Grumpy Sunshine and opposites attract. So if you enjoy those, I definitely say give this one a try. So those are all the books that I read during the month of May. If you've read any of them, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you don't feel like commenting anything, go ahead and leave a high hill for my favorite book of the month. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. Bye!